Hey guys, here's a tip for you. Tip of the week. Cold weather, we've got water temperatures in the 40s. What are these fish going to be eating? They're going to be eating what's available to them. What's available is last year's fry bluegill and crayfish that are going to be the first thing to emerge. Oftentimes in the spring you've got higher water. The fish are going to be pinned to the bottom third of the water column, and we've got to use a bait to get down there. So questions I get, and the reason I'm doing these videos is the questions that I get and I got to answer over and over again, which is great. It's what we're here for. If the people aren't asking the questions, I wouldn't know what kind of topics to do on these videos. But it's the pig and the jig this week. People don't realize that these trailers are not designed to be fished alone. They can be. They can be fished alone on a belly weighted hook, especially if you have like a Zoom speed craw here, which is one of my favorites. You can put that on a ball jig. You can put that on a belly weighted hook. It doesn't matter. But what's not designed to be fished alone is the actual pig and jig. This is a football style jig. I actually prefer the Bitsy Bug for our rivers, but if I was out maybe fishing Deep Creek or the lower Potomac or a rocky bluff of some kind, I do like the football jig. So anyway, they call this the pig and the jig. Well, the reason they do that is, this is obviously the jig, and you can see right out of the package I've trimmed this. If you notice these couple long hairs I missed. So I like to trim it at a 45-degree angle like this. And what that does, that allows these legs to stand up out away from the body more. They give it to you with the full body length on there, and a lot of people don't realize that they're actually designed to be trimmed to suit you. So go ahead and experiment with that. If you wanted to make them a finesse jig, you could take all the tentacles that are out front, grab it like that, and trim, boom, right across there, and that gives you that those shorter strands for a finesse jig. But I don't want to ruin this jig because this is actually one of mine out of my own box. But you can see how you get more flare if you trim those legs a little bit, and that's what you're looking for. So the term pig and jig came about from Uncle Josh. Was using pork rind, actual pig. Today, more commonly, we're using some type of plastic, may be scented, may not be. You might be putting on your own personal scent, which I like. The Pro Formula Smelly Jelly and the 3X Strong crayfish color, crayfish scent. Bass love it. But anyway, originally this would have been cut out of pork hide and left a little fat on there, and that left a salty flavor. So that was your pig part, and this is your jig part. And what was designed to have happen was you would thread your pork rind on there, just like today. Instead of being pork rind, we're putting the pig and jig trailer on there. You watch a lot of these bass shows, and they don't explain how to do this because they think you know. But I get a lot of questions here at Whitefly Outfitters. And what you want to do is you want to thread that up there in such a way that it wants to crawl up there naturally and gets up to that hook keep. And you end up with something like that, which is your pig and jig. The legs are going to kick. That gives you the silhouette of a crayfish, and the legs up front are applying more movement. That's a great looking pagan jig, by the way. And the jig is nothing more than a weight to get you down through the current. Now, you've heard of swim jigs, and for a while it boggled my mind. Swim jigs? What are they talking about? Swim jigs? And I was thinking it was swim bait they were referring to. Well, swim bait can be fished a lot of different ways. One of the ways is with a belly weighted hook, which is probably the most popular way we fish them here. Is a naked belly weighted hook and the swim bait, some smelly jelly on there, and crawl that across the bottom. However, the swim jig is nothing more than you take your crawdad off here and put your swim bait on there. Same premise. Now, I wouldn't use it on a football jig, or maybe you could, but everybody's personal preference. I would just typically use it on a finesse head or a bitsy bug head like this, with a weed guard, and there you go. There's your swim jig. Again, it gives you in this case, the impressions of the fish, the silhouette of a bait fish, but you have the additional movement of the legs going on here, and you have the weight to get you to the bottom. So that's a pagan jig, and a little bit of history on that, and how to rig it, and how to rig a swim jig. So water temperatures are cold in the 40s or low 50s. Those are some baits to try.